Welcome back. A little bit unsure what I'm going to cover this time at the moment, but I just thought I wasn't happy with how the rods looked. Sounds silly. Everything else is so polished and shiny and lovely and fresh, but the rods were looking a little bit dull, especially after I'd repainted the wheels as well. So, I mean, if you look at them, I've seen worse, but they are just a little bit worse for wear. I mean, that's the back of them, so you wouldn't see much anyway. So what I've done, I've decided to take some WD-40 and some 800 grip wet and dry, spray the WD wet and dry to begin with. Then I might even give them a polish up afterwards with some Autosol. Let's just see how it's doing so far. So I don't know how well you can see in the picture, but these haven't been done. This one has, and that one hasn't. So there is a significant difference by doing it. So worth a little bit of effort, I think. So I'll carry on, like I say, just a little bit of wet and dry, a little spray of WD, give it a little rub over, and it comes off pretty quick. Let's take a look. Now, I don't expect that I'll show all of this because it's probably going to be pretty dull to watch, but there's a bit of a nasty brown stain there. Let's give that a bit more. So there we go. Not too much effort, and it comes up a lot better. I've not done the back. I might give it a quick go over the back, although you'll never see it. But yeah, a little bit of effort and it comes up nicely. So I have now also used a bit of Autosol on this bit of the rod, and I don't know how well you'll be able to see the difference between the end that I've done and the end I haven't. Just trying to keep it in focus. So again, worth that little bit of effort, and if I compare to the same rod from the other side, there is a significant difference. So well worth a little bit of effort. So I think I'll do the wooden bit, remaking this one, which goes on there. But then the one for the other side had been lost over the years, and that one I need to make a new one altogether. So because I had to make both sides, I'm starting with a new piece of wood rather than trying to clean up the old one, because I'd never matched the wood colour. So new piece of wood, start from scratch, make both. Here we go. So I've used the old piece of wood as a template, clamped it to the sheet of ply, cut around it, filed it, planed it so it fits nicely, and take it apart, and I'll see if that works flipped onto the other side of the engine as well. If it does, then I can use it as a template again. If it doesn't, then I'll have to be a bit more creative. But that is getting there. And there we go. It fits nicely that side. And if we flip it over, it also fits nicely that side. So I'm going to make another one the same shape, Then I'll drill holes through for the securing bolts for the reverser. Put the reverser on, scribe around the reverser, and then I can trim around that to cut it to size. Now, just one little point as a pet hate of mine, and I have done it in the past and I've been so annoyed by it when I've done it. If you're using something like this or anything to make floorboards or whatever, sometimes you'll scribe the floorboard lines into the piece of ply. No problem with that. I've done that. I quite often scribe it and then I'll draw down the gap with a pen of some sort, just to emphasize the joint in the planks. However, make sure you get the grain of the wood in the same direction as the planks of wood. It is a pet hate of mine when the grain runs across the planks. I can't remember if I remade the one that I did wrong before. I'm going to go and have a look now, and if it is wrong, I'll show you. But I'll also show you the ones that are right. So this is my jinty, which is correct. All the planks run in the same direction as the grain. I'm not saying that the planks are running the right direction to what they should, but certainly the grain is running the right direction on the planks. Now I've just taken these out of Enterprise. I'm sure it was this one that I had wrong, but I must have remade it at some point. As you can see, the grain runs the same direction as the planks of wood. And there we go. I must have been so annoyed with how I'd done it in the past that I did end up going back and remaking it. Yeah, let's carry on. So having cut out one, I cut out the other. I held it all upside down, drilled through 2 holes, bolted, and it occurred to me I didn't actually need it all bolted in. I just needed the reverser bolted to this. So now I can cut around the reverser, or I'll mark it and then take it off and cut around it, and then we'll be good. So it had been my intention to finish cutting in there, cut along and just cut across. However, with the amount left on this side, I have, okay, it might not come out great, but I've used a scriber to scribe line all the way round, and I'm going to attempt to just cut the hole in the middle of this. So I've gone down the chain drilling route to open this up. Now that I've cut all these holes, drilled all these holes, I'll cut between them, get this piece out, and then just file it back to the line. And there we go. That's fitted. See? That does look good. So, my next step, I might take these out, stain them, and paint the top half of the cab the cream colour. So as you can see, yes, I am here brushing the inside of the cab. Can be therapeutic, can be boring. I've gone for a sort of middle size flat brush, which is great for getting into the sort of detail-y areas around the corners. And I couldn't be bothered to get a second brush dirty for doing the big flat areas. So it's a little bit tedious doing the big flat areas of the cab. But it gets into the corners and it gives me a nice brush for doing some of the more delicate bits. And so far it seems to be going okay. This is a paint which I've had for a while. It's done a couple of my other engines. I had it mixed up when I was doing the Duke, I think. And this is probably the 4th engine it's done. I had to buy a litre. Or it might be half a litre, I can't remember now. But it was certainly a lot more than I needed to do the inside of one cab. And yeah, it might be a cellulose based, I can't remember, but that's fine going on top of enamel. You would start to have trouble if you started spraying enamel onto the cellulose. Or is it the other way around? Well, because I'm not spraying, it's okay. And yeah, it's going on okay. Let's just start all this again. So, as I said, I'm painting the inside of the cab. You can see I've already done the top and the other side. Unfortunately, this splasher sort of gets in the way of showing you what I'm actually doing from this angle. I'm using a flat, not too small a brush, but also not particularly big, which is great for getting into the corners, getting into all the delicate bits, giving me a straight edge where I need one. However, it does get a bit tedious when I'm doing the bigger areas, like that area. It was probably a touch on the small side for that, but for the time that it would have taken to clean a second brush, I might as well stick with this one for this particular job. If it'd been much bigger, I would have gone for a bigger brush, but yeah, with this particular scenario, this brush did the job. So, enough of my rambling, I will show you when it's done. So having cut it to shape using the floor as a template, I've put a mark every now and again, a pair of marks, and I'm first scribing quite deeply with the scriber into the wood, and then drawing in the bottom of the groove with a pen, and that tends to give a nice look at the bottom of the, once it's been varnished and everything, that looks quite convincing. And there it is with a fresh coat of varnish on it, and the other bits, and that's what it was before the varnish. So satin dark oak, so that should look pretty good when it's in the engine, I hope. Fingers crossed. So that is pretty much that for the cab, until such times as I get the decals done and varnish it so that I can put the cab back on. And other than the dummy whistle, if I get around to doing that, plenty of time for that, easy enough to fit. So that's it for today. Next time we will start looking at the tender. So yeah, we've got the water valves and, well, basically the water valves to sort out on the tender, and then that'll be ready for varnish. So yeah, that's what's to come next time. So thanks very much for watching. If you're still here, let me know what you think. I'm pretty happy with it so far, so let's hope it goes together nicely from here, and it's going to look a treat. So thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon.